Hey,
It's actually pretty
everybody.
funny. Oh,
This is the Art Show, and I'm Nathan. You know that, and you probably know my guest better than you know me. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Sorry for
now
that.
I go by OG the person, formerly OG Crooked West. Been in this game a minute. Started as a collector. Started making art in April of 22. Launched the original art collective, and digital art label I have called then Money Click, now 452B. Love this space. Had the joy of advising many artists and many of the players and platforms in the space. And I think this is the best community. Years ago, a guy who's no longer in the space referred to NFTs as new friends technology.
I like
And
that.
I really think that's what it is. So I'm hyped to be here. Nathan and I met, I guess, over the years. Like, he reached out to me recently when I started posting my music again and was really kind. And I see he's trying to focus on art and artists, and I want to be here to support that. So thank you for having me.
I appreciate that. One thing you said there that I'll just start with. I've always felt like this is the best community. I've been a part of several kind of communities in the art and music world over the years, and this is the one that's been the most, I don't like the word accepting, but I guess accepting, the most inclusive of
Pleasure.
like every personality type and every kind of like art offering and everything. They
It's
don't
like
really
the
care
only
like
place where it would
background.
like finance, yeah, finance bros like all dressed the same, tech bros, and then here everyone can look. If you saw me and like those friends in the game, like we look like you'd never see us anywhere else.
That's one thing I like, and it's helped me meet like the most people too. Like most of my music friends I met from NFTs. Most of my finance friends I met from NFTs. It's like I existed in these worlds previously,
Mhm.
but it took this space to bring us together for whatever reason. Um, there's a couple things you mentioned right away that I was going to hit on. And if people want to know, because people who know me, they know this is how professional I am. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
and I might take these off. Is that cool? I
That's
feel like it's
fine.
cool.
I won't
Yeah, let
judge
me.
you.
No, just tell me if you can hear me.
All right, let's see. I like this. Oh, you stopped recording. It's fine.
I didn't realize that was like fatal. Okay,
it's, it's fine.
put them together.
It's fine. We'll do it. We're just gonna hit go again. And I'll splice them. Are we
Yeah,
still
that's what I'm
on?
saying.
It's
I'm
still
on.
going.
Oh,
That's
it's still
insane.
going. Yeah, we lived.
All
Okay.
right. So if anybody notices an interruption there, we had maybe a technical situation, a difficulty of some
I
kind.
took off
I have
my
no idea.
earphones. I had them
Yeah.
on because the dude was here.
Earbuds are very fickle. Most
Yeah,
people,
yeah.
you know,
They're dope.
they don't
Dope
call them
rock.
ear friends for a reason.
No.
Earbuds. But this is like the dumbest joke I've ever fucking made in my life.
Well, it
uh,
sucks. It's hard when you're recording again.
it's hard,
It
but
shakes. But let's
that's
rock.
what she
We're good.
said, but
Hit
that's
me. Okay,
okay.
you were gonna say two things. I go for it.
Yeah. So you mentioned being a collector and an artist. Like I wanted to see as a collector, so I'm a collector too, but not like I haven't collected as much as you. Like you're pretty well known for collecting and stuff. So what's your mindset when you go into that? Like when you wake up in the morning, you're like, I'm looking for something here. Like how do you go through that process? Is it random or do you come in with like a certain thing in your head?
That's a wonderful question. I appreciate it. I'd say it's like transformed. You know, when I first came in, I had like 100 followers. I didn't know anybody else doing this shit. Even the hardcore crypto people were like, thought this was fringe. And it really pulled me in. And so when I started, I thank God in hindsight, you know, but many of the artists I've met in the space were from those days. So, you know, I was really into collecting. I hadn't thought of myself as an art collector. I was more like I collected tattoos for, at that point, 22 years. I've been into images and like into the culture, but not like, you know, I liked Rothko and some artists, but I wasn't like an art collector. And so when
Right.
I got in this space, I went from PFPs to art through OSF's community and through Jake the DJ. And then when I launched Money Click, I started to get to know artists because I like had six on the first time, and I was like, I can do better than 12, then like 20. So I think I've worked with like 35 or 40 artists or something like that. I need to check. But so those early years were artist discovery. The first was OSF, which he's been incredible for me and very both brilliant story and been very profitable. Then I found Jack. Luckily, when checks were below zero point 0.1, it was crazy, and I lucked out. I had Jack on my show. Then, 6529 and a lot of artists. So step one was like finding all these people, then watching them. And so I don't really mess with artists I haven't known for years.
Right.
And so again, those were
It can
artists.
be crazy. So like you got to be careful with
I
that.
used to with RDT to the moon. We used to have a like jokey thing where like anytime he'd send me an artist, I like send. But that's one of my jokes. Like Jedi Wolf's been super cool to me, but he's been very complimentary about my artist finding. And like when people recommend an artist, what I'll do is I'll screenshot the first tweet I sent them, like DM on Twitter, and it'll be like, like 3 years ago. So like even Kim Asendorf, I emailed years ago, or it's just cool, and like Die and all these people. So I'd say now what I've done is I view this as the most wonderful, like, changes where you can get to know the artist and hang out with other people who are like interested in collecting that artist and like come back. And for me, it's like defines my digital identity, defines like you've talked about, not just my digital identity, my real life identity. Like my real life friends, I have tons, but my favorites, my best friends are all here now. And so for me, I like to focus super laser focused. I do like try to support the community, but more generally, I have a handful of artists and projects I've been focused on and watching. And then the universe brings them to me as they do. So I usually have like one artist I'm new focused on, in this case, Ben Strauss lately, like many people. And, but my biggest involvement in the space is like Jack, Die, Sam to my ability, Joe Peace to my ability, 6529, did I say? And so, I have a few wallets in my holdings, right? But I've supported a lot of projects, but I like to have sort of a focus list. And then the fun for me is becoming like super tight with those artists or collectors, and because we're all into the same shit. And I'm like generally interested and passionate. And so I've had this lovely luck where people vibe in this space. And so, yeah, so look, people don't always love this, but what I think about like stuff is what I want it to be and how I think it should be and how I wish it was. Those are all me problems, and the universe has not like zero requirement to cohere or comply with me. And so when I say stuff, it's my best ability to just share what I see as truth. And my opinions about it might be like, I wish it wasn't. But the fundamental, all of art history, to my knowledge, is like any artist who comes up, it's always a narrative about them, like Van Gogh, the ear, Andy Warhol, the dance clubs or whatever, and on and on. And so what I think is, once I believe in artists, because you're not just betting on artists now, most of the artists in this space are very young, like relative to their full career. Even people who are closer to my age, like there's still a lot of productive years left. And so you're not just betting on what they do, you're betting on like how will they evolve as the world changes. So the way I think about it is a lot like I only buy from artists I want to like hang with and fuck with personally, because like, it's too short. And so I personally now at this stage, so I have a lot of prior, this space is pretty small now, and I have supported a lot of artists along the way, and they're really cool about it. And I think at this stage is more, I open my soul to the universe, and I swear to God, I know that sounds.
No, I
Like,
get it.
and it always delivers. Like Ben and I have a perfect example. I've known and watched Ben, and we've talked for years, like back to when they launched Doppelganger a million stuff. But somehow Ben and I reconnected, and now like in a totally different way. And I just let the universe present, like, and so that's the job I think of all day. What do I do is I wake up and I believe But the biggest and most important thing is not, we all think we run our life with our brain.
Yeah.
We have a 500 million neurons in our gut. It sets system state. Risk, rest. If you're in risk, you have all kinds of crazy constraints, make you feel bad, and it's hard to do creative stuff. Rest, energy for creative, parasympathetic state, it's medically called. But so I wake up and I do everything I can before bed and when I wake up to ensure I'm in a parasympathetic state so that everything else in the world becomes easy. And I try to have quiet and calm and try to not, like if I have an inside me problem, I try to keep it inside and not let it spill out. And I view the world as data, not a mirror. It's not a mirror of me and my worth or value or anything. It just is. And I have zero control of it, and I have to just take that. That's what I kind of obsess about. And then, like today, I woke up 4:30. I was so hyped. I'm like working on this piece that I'm hyped about, and I've like amplified my process, but like burned out my computer and so stuff like that. I had to deal with some BS I didn't want to deal with. You know, when we were earlier.
Yeah.
This thing installed lunch. So you know what? I have the best life I could imagine, and.
You seem to have a good life.
Yeah, dude, it wasn't always this way.
It seems good.
But I honestly, at the end of last year, there was a moment I'm like, I cannot spend a minute in pain anymore. And
Yeah, I've been there too.
Yeah.
Like it's like you get to those points where you almost like fed up with the pain and the BS, and you're just like, you know what?
I don't like
not gonna do
20
this.
minutes and so much therapy, and it was, and finally, like, fuck. Okay, I'm gonna just take this shit as given and look back in history how other people dealt with this before we were all yakety yak or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, not telling you, like, my life is the best it's been. I still have one significant issue that's, you know, one I'd much prefer not to deal with, but I'm like, yo, it's not really.
You can't get rid of all of them.
Yeah, and my life is so phenomenal. Like, I was deep in debt. I was deeply depressed. I was leaning on unhealthy crutches towards the end, especially as, like, you know, so unbelievable stuff happened, and
Yeah.
just not living to my best self. And then, dude, I just, like, you know, I was interviewed by someone. I'm like, look, just when I stopped doing dumb shit that I like knew I shouldn't be doing, you know,
Yeah.
turns out I'm like super happy, life's great, you know.
Yeah, when I got sober, that was like a big turning point for me. I don't think everybody needs to be, but I think it's like one of those things where if you're the kind of person that like ruminates on this stuff and then tries to escape from your problems by getting into substances or drinking or like whatever, that's gonna always cause an issue. You're never truly gonna find rest or peace. Like you're always gonna seem like you're running from something, because you are, like, literally. And it does stop good things from happening. Like you said, it's like you have to be in that relaxed state
Yeah.
for the positive stuff
I
to come
stopped
your way.
smoking weed within like 4 hours of bed. I can get into a window. I stopped this year doing any, like, having any crazy nights or whatever. I don't
Yeah.
drank hard liquor in 13 years. I haven't drank
That's
wine
really good.
in 11 years, and then I only drink beer, and I barely drank this year. Had like a couple fun nights with my girl, which I'm like, cool. Together.
Sometimes it's a good thing. I don't think people need to have like zero.
Never drink. I used to like drink every day.
Me too.
It's like fucking 10 plus, 10 plus. Dude, I used to weigh like 195 pounds and drink like, my peak misery was like Japan. And I mean, there was witnesses.
You lived in Japan or you visited?
I went to Tokyo in January of last year when there was that super cool thing Ed did with the people where everyone had their own, shows and
Oh yeah.
I was gonna get knocked down. I'm blanking on the name, NFT Tokyo, but and I like chugged 12 beers at the dinner just to like show some. Apparently, somebody reported I drank like 30 plus 35 beers maybe. So I was,
Dang.
yeah, fucked up, crazy.
I've the 2 times in my life I got really out of control. Once I weighed 330 pounds, and The other time I got up to about 290 pounds, and I'm like 200-ish right now.
Yeah, I'm like
So
a
like,
buck 66 right now. I just had a nice big beer belly and a swollen coffee.
I I had a beer belly and two giant beer tits. That's
Yeah.
how, that's how I describe it. Um, as far as your art goes, like there was one piece on, I guess it was on like Transient Labs. Was that one that you used recently, or what's the?
I'll only use transient. My last mint had a,
Okay, I
but
think
I
that
love
one I tried to.
them. I can't say enough good things about them. I think I
Okay,
decided to mint and just like whipped up Manifold because it was right there or whatever.
okay, yeah, I think I was gonna go on there and get one, and
Yeah,
then it.
that one, last one has been. I feel. Look, for many years I hated all my art. I was like, this is trash, fucking. And so I like didn't release art for years. Yeah,
Yeah.
I minted in December 22 because I like sold a piece in December 23. I've been January 23. And I was like, I just wrote a tweet about this. I was like, it went for like zero point 0.9 ETH with a 1.1 off right after it. And at the time I was known as a collector. And I was like, I started getting like, I don't know, imposter syndrome a bit. And I think growing up, like I never thought of myself as an artist, even though in hindsight, like with a different lens, there were indications or whatever. But
Yeah.
my brother's very, very brilliantly artistic. My younger brother, he's like beautiful singing voice, like has been super successful in that area. But yeah, so I felt like, what if somebody loses money on me, and what if this impacts the area that at the time I thought was more important to me?
Mhm.
So I just kept making art like every day, all the time, fucking for years.
Yeah.
And then as the situation I'm still sort of dealing with unfolded at the end of 24, and thankfully Jack and Shrimp in particular, Pindar had been instrumental in my process, and like Di and Joe have always been just made me feel better about my art. And
Mhm.
so finally in January of 25, I did my first release, and it was a pretty sad one if you look at it, and it was really like, you'll see how I was feeling at the time. I made the music and the imagery, and it's fuck, I gotta go. It
Yeah, I was gonna scoop one of the mints from your last drop, and
yeah.
missed out by like just a little bit. I retweeted it and everything, and then I went back to get it later, and it was over. And I was like,
uh,
um, but yeah.
I'm trying to look
Also, real quick, like I don't think I've. This might sound selfish, but I've never thought about somebody losing money on my work. I'm always like thinking about, like I only think as an artist for some reason.
I
I
think
don't think about any of that stuff, and I think if I do it, it starts to mess me up.
well,
So
it did me, and the reason I
okay,
did is like because I've worked with so many artists, and when I work with artists, I'm just like, pay me whatever you want. They've been more than delightful, but
yeah,
I spent a lot of time. RD and I have spent countless calls like thinking about how to price work, and me working with artists because I always wanted to be a win.
I
And
need
so,
your help, bro. I'm
well,
so
that's what
bad at that part.
I've been so blessed. Is like, look, I'm not a taker, and I have proven that. And I think artists are surprised, but like, I'm here. I don't need to be here. Like, not that anyone needs to, but like my income comes from outside of here, and I choose to be here all the time like this because like I super believe in this.
Yeah,
And my greatest joy is like when I find something, and I know people don't like this phrase, but I think it's like important to have this in your head as an artist because like nobody needs to fucking buy art.
right.
Like, why do they need to bother? And when I find something that I feel as a collector worth bothering with, or I make something as an artist, which has only been after many fucking years where I felt this a little. Well, I know I felt it. I've been hyped about my recent work. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not saying others should
Yeah,
buy it. Like, I've been grinding at this for like what's April 22. I'm still about April 23, 24, 25. Yeah, I guess like almost 4 years straight. It feels like 10 times longer, but um,
yeah,
and so I'm like, yo, it took me a lot of years to get, like, I'm hyped about my general, like, where I am in my arc or whatever. But Yeah, I mean, for years I was like, all I did was hate on myself on that.
I like your stuff. I don't think you should hate on yourself at all. And I've been doing this since 2019, by the way. I minted my first thing at the very end of 2019.
So,
And it's like sometimes good, sometimes I've gone like a year without song a piece before too.
I'm
So
like,
like it
my
just
rap
happens up
music.
and down.
I've been making music for 11 years, which is crazy.
Okay.
Yes, I have like recordings from when I first got in the studio when I was a real fucking nutball. Um, but yeah, when I listen to some of my old shit, I'm like, oh fuck, turn that off. And then every now there's a few songs I'm like, ah, that shit's alright. Yeah.
What's always been your kind of forte musically?
As a musician or as a
Yeah, yeah, just as a creator, as a musician.
I'm freestyling. When I first started, I would go to. In 2015, I would like street battle in Oakland. I was
I'm always worried about that stuff.
yeah.
I
Well,
get I get like weird when people get
people
like
get
right up in
shot.
here.
Yeah, people get shot and shit. Like down the yeah. It was for
Yeah,
like it was fucking stupid. There, I had a little stage. I don't want to get into the details of what happened, but after my marriage, after I left my marriage, some other stuff happened, and I just had 6 weeks where I was like in Vegas every week. I got banned for life from Win Encore. Years later, got unbanned like 8 years. But yeah, was street battling in Oakland, like
okay.
doing crazy, stupid shit, fighting all the time, like daily.
I know
So
a guy that got banned for card counting, but never known
I
anybody
didn't
that
get banned for that. I don't gamble.
I wish I could card count, by the way. Um, as far as like relationships, because you mentioned like a bad relationship there. What's the difference now in terms of relationships and where you've been? Is there like, do you have like a different perspective on that than you used to? Because it seems from viewing you from the outside that you're in like a good place with that and how you view like, being in a relationship.
Yeah, there's this great line from Big X the Plug, like, it took losses to feel all this winning. And
Yeah.
look, I look back at my two marriages, and I have, I was growing up, and particularly in the second one, did make some mistakes, and I think I had a very unimaginable long relationship after that. I won't discuss. It's still problematic, but last year I met my current partner in October, and it was the first time I came in like fully having a view of like the proper way to be a human being in a way. I told you I this year I didn't even know Twitter was doing articles. I like wrote them as tweets. I just was
Yeah.
so I've written 17 articles and done a bunch of, but just like really about. And what I feel like in this is, I believe like most human beings go in, if they're normal human beings and not sociopaths, loving each other, which unfortunately some are sociopaths, and
I've been with those.
I've had one who is I consider both.
Yeah.
But so you come in normal, and what happens is like you see how terrible people in love who were once in love treat each other, and I think what happens. This is why I have these kintsugi in my art, and these cracks and fractures and these tears and these sort of burns, because what I feel is, yes, come in. Hold on one sec. Hey, I'm on an interview, buddy. I'm on an interview. Hey, Franco, I'm on an interview. Franco, I'm on a TV show. I'm on a TV show. I'm on a show. Okay. This dude's my buddy. So anyway, sorry about that, pal.
No, it's I actually like that. I like it being like
So yeah, this is real life. So
natural.
Franco's the homie. I'm gonna ask him one sec. Hey, bud. Hey, Franco. Can we do that in like half an hour? I'm on a show.
Okay, you want to do later?
20 minutes, half an hour.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, sorry, Nathan. I
Oh,
apologize.
you're good. You're good.
Okay.
Tell
Okay.
Franco I said what's up, dog.
Yeah, Franco's the man. No, so why don't we just start that? So if you want to splice, do you want to just re-answer?
Yeah,
Or
it's
you want to-
fine.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like
All right.
it's cool.
This
Man.
this one I came in, and actually, she'll tell you from the first date, I came in. So my art reflects that because I think what happens is over time, because people don't realize each other's attachment method, and because people don't like one of the things I said on the first date with her was like, look, you'll never have to guess what I'm thinking. I'll tell you how I'm feeling. Like, I don't expect you to read minds. Two, like, I ask questions. Not if I have a problem, I'll tell you. The questions are because I don't know stuff and I want to know. And I was like, number three, let's never ever say anything hurtful to each other. And so I literally said that on the first date. And I think I'm always calm and like talking in here's how what my needs are, here's what so on. And so we've had a couple of things like in each other's lives that were hard that we were like I was dealing with some crazy shit, she was too. And we even in those moments never have said anything. And so it's been the greatest joy for me. It's like I it's been a while.
I see those
Dude,
photos that you
you
post.
kind of
I'm
like see it, right?
genuinely
Like it's
happy.
yeah, and that's how I feel. I'm just like life's just a lot better when she's here. So that's been
Yeah.
a gift I'd hope for, and it's no criticism of my wives. They're delightful and wonderful, amazing people. We're super tight, and
Yeah.
they're beautiful people. My two wives, not my last one, but not my last relationship, but my current partner and I met at the perfect time where we're both in a position where we can control ourselves enough to not hurt the other, and we both appreciate in depth what we have, which I think when you're younger it's sometimes easier to think, especially with the current structure of dating sites and the like is like there's a million,
Oh yeah.
and I just don't think I don't know. I've had a lot of changes on how I view all that, and I just feel blessed and lucky
Me too. I
to.
think it took a long time for me to get to that spot also. I've had a few um I've had a few iffy ones, and the one I'm in now is solid. And I think it's because of like what you said. It's just good communication, laying out expectations in a way that it's pretty clear. And then like I mean, you're gonna hurt each other occasionally with stuff you say
Exactly.
because humans are kind of clumsy with words
That-
and stuff. But
Just say,
doing your best.
"Can't say that hurt me, please. Here's why. I would love if you rephrase that. And if I'm like, this is about me feeling this way, it triggers this.
Yeah.
And then, like, it's like, great. You couldn't read minds. We're just getting to know each other still.
Yeah. I'm big on that. You hit on like three things there all at once that I was gonna add, and that's good. Because it brings me to something that's probably best for the end is spirituality. So we've talked on the phone about this, and we both I told you how I believe in God, and you were saying that you call it a different thing. You call it the universe, but you still use the word God, I've noticed. And like, what's your view on all this stuff? Because I think it's really interesting how
Right.
different people frame it.
So when I was a kid, I think we have like, I actually think religious allegory, and I'm most familiar with like Judeo-Christian allegory.
Yeah.
That's the culture I grew up in. But for a while, like I think the Holy Trinity is like mind, heart, soul, or like mind, gut, heart, whatever, soul. Like
Yeah.
we know what that is. Gut, heart, like emotions, and something that connects us to something bigger than ourselves. So when I was a kid, when I was 9, like my parents are from the West Indies, a tiny island, and they're wonderful people and love me, but the attitude back then was very different about how to raise boys.
Yeah.
I was told, I think my dad meant something slightly different, but this is how I remembered it and lived with it. What you want doesn't matter. How you feel doesn't matter. Never cry. And if you expressed emotions, it was like, and it was generally, my dad's like, doesn't believe in being happy when things are good because he's like, you're going to be unhappy when they're bad. I'm like, well, you're unhappy when they're both.
You're like scared something bad's gonna happen if he feels good.
But like, it's a bit cultural.
Yeah.
So, anyway, fast forward, I just pushed out all my emotions crazy. And then starting in 2013, due to a brief night in a Mexican jail cell, I decided it was time to revisit my emotions. And I voluntarily did that's when I stopped drinking hard liquor, and I voluntarily did deep kind of outpatient therapy, by
Yeah.
choice. And we had to start by like writing down 3 words about how we felt. And I'm like, I couldn't fucking do it. So I started putting words to feelings in a quick, funny. Oh, we gotta go. I'll go faster. In a quick, funny thing,
Not
my
a big deal. We can just chill.
yeah. In a quick, years later, I didn't cry for 29 years, from 9 to 38. When I did cry, I called my dad. I'm like, Dad, I must have Freudian shit. I'm like, now 38 years old. I'm like, Dad, guess what? After all these years, I cried. He's like, you know what he said? Shh, don't tell anyone.
I've thought about that, like that time that we talked on the phone and you told me that story. Like, I've thought about that a few times since then.
And look,
Like,
he meant it his best. He's like a wonderful dad.
I know exactly what he meant.
So anyway, but that was a big evolution. And then when
Yeah.
I was in 2013, one of the therapists I met was this wonderful dude, and I'm like, look, I asked him like, how do I know when I'm healed? And he said, well, first you got to figure out faith, but we don't do that here. That's on your own. So that sort of got in my head. And then he's like, you'll know when you're healthy when you see unhealthy. When you see unhealthiness, and it's totally true for me. Now it's like crystal clear to watch the unhealthy patterns more than I ever had before, whereas before I was under the waves and being used by them. And so when I went through my second divorce, which was challenging, that period I was finally like, look, I've tried everything and it's not working. A bit like what happened recently. I'm like, I started getting all these feelings about something bigger. I started having these experiences, and looking back, I'd had more, where there was no explanation other than spirituality. And so between, some using mushrooms once and DMT once, and then a variety of personal meditation and like life experiences, I am now at a point where I try my hardest every day to entirely open my soul. I like the word universe because God, sometimes when you're feeling mad, you're like, how could that motherfucker like allow all this shit to happen? I don't mean that, obviously, please don't.
No, I know what you mean though.
I'm
It's
like,
when it's like
when
personal.
you're like, okay, depending on the estimates, most conservative 100 billion galaxies. Biggest one now is up to 2.3 trillion galaxies. Each has 100 billion. Not exactly, because the way planet structures are. They're,
No, it's so
not to be a
crazy.
nerd, but there's mostly like super mini Earths and like super mini Neptunes, and
Yeah.
not totally, but let's say somewhere
It
between
freaks me out to think
20,
about all that
yeah,
stuff.
200 billion like planets per galaxy. Then you're like, okay, like yeah, like hey, I got a signal in my soul and I didn't listen, and now I'm expecting like me out of 8.27 billion people here, where there's 100 billion planets in this galaxy, and like, sorry, like God's not just waiting for me to be like, yo, can you reinforce what you told me? Like, tell me again, because like you're not busy enough, and I'm so special. So what I think is, the more I let go and entirely go by my soul and my connection to God or the universe, I do use God much more now. I'm much more comfortable with it,
Yeah.
because I sort of think it's words are for communicating with other people and for clarifying your own thoughts. And
Yeah.
so I'm very specific. Like, this is dumb, but like, I know it's not related to religion, but people went crazy over Bad Soup Yum giving 100 grand, saying it was to emerging artists. Nobody took the time to read the fucking tweet and the exact words. He's like, artists like who want to get established. So I do
Yeah.
think words matter. So God as an idea is the much more historic and like cultural term. But like most, I haven't been able to. My limitation is I can't put the word God, then the vastness, into one, because I have over here a prayer area with a variety of faiths, with Jesus and on the cross and a variety of other
Yeah.
things, and like two Hindu gods, like samurai, Buddha, Pepe Buddha that I made, and so on. And so, yeah, I did, for one of my pieces last year. So I think you look around this world, I've done a ton of voluntary community service, like since I was young, my mom. And it's easy to be sad because stuff that like I think shouldn't happen, which doesn't mean it shouldn't. It does happen, but just terrible
Yeah.
shit happens. But when you step back and you look up and realize like how each of us lives better in most of the conversations we're in, I'm not obviously huge parts of the world that still live in, but probably the least in history. I would guess. I haven't looked at the figures lately, but like for sure, the least people in history generally live at the kind of poverty experienced in the past, like not eating and all stuff where. And so most of us in whatever's left of middle class America, like people still live better than like kings for most of the past. And
For
you
the
know, we
most
don't.
part, yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah,
So
even like even walking around the city and seeing people like sleeping on the sidewalk and stuff, like there's a good chance that they're living better even now than they would have been like 500 years ago in the same position. So I mean, we've
yeah, and
got
obviously people I would love to see helped, but
same.
like yeah, and of course I know what you're saying. You're saying like even the worst is less worse. So that's sort of try to have gratitude. I try to remember I'm just one tiny nothing, and my only real value is as part of this universe because everything else can be like each human being is one of the 8.27 billion that's making this world possible, and we're all in
Yeah.
it together. And so, in that sense, that to me is the most beautiful and uplifting thing. And so, when I listen to my soul and I do whatever my soul tells me, that's when I'm the happiest. And for me, that's being here doing what I'm doing. And apart from one or two things in life, like, yeah, I feel
I
at
take
this.
it pretty far with that too. I don't know, like I'll even like walk a certain direction if I feel
I'll try-
like
I was going to buy a car.
that way.
Dude, I swear to God, true story. Like, first day I land here, I have like shrimp dough and Pindar come hang. The next morning I wake up, walk across the street to get a coffee. This group of women from like, what's that thing Di does, 40, the fitness thing.
Is that CrossFit?
No, it's another one like that. I don't know why I'm totally fucking blanking, but
Me
uh,
too.
um, it's what Di does like 6 days a week. The come in and start talking to me, and I'm like, hey, I just got here. You don't have to know anything about luxury Dallas real estate. This woman's like, I don't, but my friend does. I talked to her for an hour. I end up, the second apartment I look at, I sign. It turns out that she recommended, it turns out was her apartment down the hall from here. And then in October, I moved this one. I was going to
Oh,
buy a car to mess with Jack, Jack Butcher, because we had an inside joke. And I swear to God, I was like, en route, I got an urge to turn. I just like turned left and I got some crazy deal on my car. And just like, so I'll do that at any moment of the day, all the time. And I try
yeah.
to structure my life so I'm able to do that. Because what do I know? If I listen to that, I just find everything's better.
No, it everything is. It's worked out for me like in so many crazy ways whenever I listen to that voice, and then when I don't, nothing happens. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess
When
that's
I
my
ignore
answer.
it, bad stuff happens.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, for the most part, I've been pretty it seems like I'm either pretty lucky or just bored. Doesn't seem like tons of bad. So I've gotten things have been good there. Um,
I
there's
can't
only
sit
one last thing on this that I wanted to see.
anything.
Um, how do you think that how do you think artists can elevate themselves to appeal more to like a collector or even other artists? Because it's actually in some ways just as important. Because like I'm an artist, I still collect other people's stuff. So
Yeah, I
like,
mean, the amount of artists collecting in the space is enormous.
yeah, it's
And
we kind
it's
of keep it in
huge.
house. Yeah,
I think like somebody once said like, oh, gee, you're such a great networker. I'm like, networker implies I went in with an intent to take something. Like I'm
right.
here to people to give me business. And I think like all artists, here's how I approach social media and all what we're doing right here is here's me. Here's the shit I think is cool. Here's the art I think is cool. Now, I'm telling this world, if you think this is cool, come let's fuck with each other, and I'll do everything to make it easy for you. I used to be a bit like, I think it's easy as an artist to be so hyped about your shit. You sort of forget you have to make it easier for somebody to look at it and have a reason why they want to keep looking. And so I've made changes to some of the constraints I imposed on myself when I was suffering depression and needed to protect myself. And so that change has had a huge impact this year for me in terms of just, and so I think never do, like I was telling you, the universe, the outside world is data points, not a mirror. So resolve within yourself any issue you have or need from out there. Anything that can only be fed from out there will never be enough. I know many people who've just like, they go like, need adoration, need attention, then will do like anything and never, they do a million, then they have to do 10 million, 100, like they're never, there's no end to the appetite. And so I think it's really about look within yourself and do the work and find like why you're passionate and then share that passion and then approach other humans with if you approach them, it has to not be what can I get. It's like, look, I saw Ben Strauss's thing and I like, I mean, it's obviously easier to collector when you're like, but even not as a collector, like, hey, this is why I'm reaching out, your shit's cool. This is what I see or what I want to know about. Like Ben and I talked for almost 3 hours and I could have kept going because I like fucking thought it was cool. And then it's that. And if you don't think something's cool and you fake it, like, or you lie to people, pretend you're something you're not, like, it's such bullshit to me. It's like, give a human a chance, you know? And look, I'm not perfect but I never do. I'm just like, so to me, that's the thing is like connect from a place of genuine interest and not what can I extract from this human or how can I use them for me.
Yeah.
And then like, look, the golden rule is the golden rule because like it's the hardest one for people to remember that just because you're experiencing you. To everyone else, they're not you. You're just some motherfucker. So I wrote some article like why thinking yourself in the third person is smart. Because when you're like me versus you versus like, yo, there's two dudes here. Let's talk about what's fair and reasonable. And most humans, unfortunately, are unable. That's one of the things like of how I built a reputation, I think, with artists, because they'll tell me, I'll be like, don't give me that. Like, it's better for me, but I don't care about that. I want you to look back always and know that I did my best at every juncture to be totally fair and transparent, because I can only do a chintz once and then nothing's believable. Like if you catch somebody, you know, so that's how I'd approach it is like, do great work that is, you have to get data points from the world. Like if people aren't responding to what you're doing, you can either say, I don't care because I'm not trying to sell it. But if you're trying to sell it, then you're like, nobody's buying my art. I'm like, well, the universe is telling you you're not making it appealing to any other motherfucker. So unless you're just doing a creative outcome, this is a commercial undertaking. There are prices and people put money in and they have to, no matter how much money you make, I mean, I'm dumb, I keep throwing money in, but like, you can't ultimately, like I've made a bunch of money the last 2 years in this space. And, you know, I kept too much in, but I took some out too finally, like a third out, you know, and I made good money. Like, you know, wallets are transparent, go look, you know, like.
Yeah,
so,
you have to take something out.
So what I just think is like, when I say it's funny, because I like to use words like, why bother is the right question. Just because you made something, you should be the most critical of it. You shouldn't be like, just because me, special fucking me, did something. Like everybody should stop what they're doing, the whole universe, and care about it. It's like, go fuck yourself.
Personally, I think I'm definitely overpricing because people seem to resonate with my stuff, but they're not buying it as often. So I know that my prices are too high. That's how I view it. So like,
to Jax, I think an artist does not have any impact on their price other than doing super fucking cool shit, the best they can, not putting out trash, like being intentional, like do the stuff you control and keep making it better. That's what I've tried to do. Make my process 10 times better. Make it where I'm not just putting words in a fucking publicly available thing. People can do that well. I'm just saying for me.
Right.
I started like, okay, if this goes badly, like I fucked up the structure of one of my auctions. I was pissed. And it was some of my best work and it got terrible. It did well critically, but not commercially.
Okay.
So I think you just constantly have to be looking at the market and be like, look. So what I've leaned to when I started the game, and Bats and I have talked about this, the like one-on-one Bats is one-on-one pyramid or whatever. I just think in an age of networked art, where the beauty of this is like we can't forget, before this, like I was trying to talk about the great positive things, like before Bats did his game changer, which is obviously hugely insanely positive in my opinion, but and I'm contributing to it, but I just think we have to remember what's so fucking cool about this, like provenance, community, like you know, getting to meet the artists, getting to hang with other people, and so like
Yeah.
I'm just, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I'm going back to that, but I think like it's super important.
Yeah. No, I think it's one of the
Be
coolest
a
things
part of
too.
that. Be a part of building. Be forward, like, and then, yeah, do cool shit. And if you want it to sell, pay attention to what motherfuckers are willing to pay for, and then
Yeah.
do that within whatever your process is. Look, I have had periods where I've had, more or less impression. I never used to look at analytics. This year I started to because I'm like, I love it here. And I'd rather get the most impact not doing anything that is not core to me. So I looked
Yeah.
at, Jack had this cool thing. He's like, put this into chat. Like, what are rules you're living by you're not even aware of? And it like totally opened my eyes. And I just dialed back some unnecessary constraints and my impressions went up 10x this year.
Interesting.
Like 10x to like from like at one point 16,000 to like 185,000 per 7 days.
It's very interesting.
So
Well,
for
it's
me,
a
I was like,
small
I'm doing
adjustment.
this now not in a way that's not genuine, in a way that's respecting who I am and sharing who I am, and that I'm not perfect, but I'm feeling like I'm much more like I didn't have to change anything or pretend anything. I just had to like be a little more thoughtful about how I presented it to others so I could ensure they understood and not assume they need to waste their time on all my overlong bullshit.
No, I feel you. That actually makes you want to analyze what I'm doing too now. No, it's really cool.
Well, I think getting a third, increasingly the way my process in life has changed is, like I said, I look at myself as a system, I'm trying to optimize mode, and then I realize, like, look, I want to be effective when I communicate outside of myself. I'm alone a lot, and this is a lot done through screens so I have 4 AIs that I just use, and I call them like my inside trusted advisors as much as AI can be. That's why I use 4, so I
Yeah.
can the size and offset, not just one. Though I increasingly find at given points, like with given updates, different ones are much, and each one, like Grok is obviously what you have to use for Twitter analysis, the only one that can scrub, and I
Yeah.
don't. I'm learning how to do bots, and so
I like Grok.
I'm sure I can figure out like with the Twitter API. I just
I like the name Grok too.
yeah. You know
I
what?
can imagine it as a person.
The only reason I don't like Grok is in like the 80s or like early 90s, there was like Bill Gates would like answer well Grok. He'd use Grok while talking, and it's sort of
Uh,
like Web 3.0. It just sounds so fucking nerdy, like Web 2,
yeah.
we call it. So I don't like Grok because all I think about is that fucking moment. And it's just like, oh, I don't Grok. Like I'm like,
Oh yeah.
so that being said, it's a fucking incredible AI for many things, just like Gemini is, just like Claude is, and then of course Chat. And I tried DeepSeek for a while. It's just not. Then I used, yeah. I've used my own like. There's a thing called like Dolphin Max Trial, which is like the most jailbroken LLM, but it only has like 32,000 vocabulary. It's like basically like 20th is good, like no, 20 or 25% is like depth as some of the public ones. And I just tried it to be like fucking ass crazy shit, like how do you make cocaine? And it still rejected me because what I didn't realize is, and I'm writing much more on the technical side of stuff. Not that I know shit like technical for dummies and how, but you still have to pass through Olema as like here's your model, and then here's how the words get to you, and those layers still have pretty stringent, safe like constraints, and so
Okay.
I'm just learning how to like dodge. Not, you know how it is once you like nerd out on something is
Yeah.
don't even really use it. I've like used it twice to try to show if I could do that, and then you know, but it's just one of those weird things I kind of like see it through at some point when I have a bit more time.
Yeah.
But
All right. Well, we went longer than 30 minutes,
you
and
can
I'm
chop
happy that we
guys,
did.
but yeah, man, this has been a joy, and
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and stop
yeah,
it, and we can do a part two if we need to ever.
of course. Thanks,
You
brother.
wanna give out your socials or anything you're trying to promote? Anybody you're trying to promote?
Kind of my
Anything?
vibe. I never do.
I don't do it either.
I
I just
don't
say
ever talk about anything. I would sort of just like, I don't know. I just think it's
yeah,
cooler not to, for a variety of reasons. Look, everyone is trying to shove everything in your face.
I agree. There's too much stuff.
It's just like, yeah, bro, we're good. I'm showing you what I think's cool. If you want to talk, come talk.
All right. Well, on that note, we're out of here, y'all. All right. Bye.
Good chat, bro.